If for the 5 people sitting on a table brainstorming how to make an iPad, that's 5 years multiplied by 10 years of insane amount of brainstorming, effort, education, knowledge, reading, inspiration. So much experience has come together, and then in a split second you got those answers of how to make. So all the great innovation labs in the US, like when I did my Stanford degree, we covered that. There are innovation labs where people from so many fields come sit, the wealth of experience comes, the diversity of opinions comes, and then you get that insight. If an 18-year-old could do it sitting with a laptop in a coffee shop and a latte, then I think life would have been much simpler. It wouldn't be so complex. If you think you're going to sit with a MacBook and just sit in just order a latte and sit for 4 hours and you're going to get this incredible piece of like, wow, okay, I've solved the universal problem. I know the key to happiness. It's not going to happen. Okay. Even a Buddha had to leave his family, go sit in a forest under a tree, meditate for years, and then get that moment of inspiration or whatever. So it's never going to be that simple.
आज हम जा रहे हैं एक ऐसे इंसान को मिलने जो इंडिया को ओबेसिटी फ्री बनाना चाहता है, डॉक्टर मल्हार गांडला, हु इज अ वेरी पैशनेट डॉक्टर जो खुद एक फिटनेस एंथू है और लोगों को हेल्प करता है ओबेसिटी से फ्री होने में. इन दिस पॉडकास्ट आई ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड हिज एंटरप्रेन्योरल माइंडसेट. ये पॉडकास्ट में हमने मनी, व्हाट शुड बी द माइंडसेट ऑफ 20-year-old पर्सन टू बिकम सक्सेसफुल, एंड मेजरली हमने डिस्कस किया है कि आप खुद को रियल वर्ल्ड में कैसे सही तरीके से पोजीशन कर सकते हो टू अट्रैक्ट द अपॉर्चुनिटीज. तो चलिए शुरू करते हैं. 3, 2, 1. वेलकम टू द हसलर शो. मल्हार गांडला, डॉक्टर मल्हार गांडला. I've started this show like recently, and I honor to have you on my show. Like as I went through your profile, and it got very interesting for me. Through you are into fitness for a long time, and for the I would request to you to just introduce yourself.
Essentially, if I have to introduce myself, when I usually take this question, we play this game with patients also. We play it with the 4 context parts, so who are you from a family perspective? So I'm a father, I'm a son, those things. So then who are you from a profession perspective? So I'm a founder and director, and all those things. And also, yes, my field is sports medicine, my field is obesity medicine, but that's my field. But as a professional, I'm a bit of a risk taker, so there are some adjectives that come into that. Then you take the third, which is the physical domain. So from the physical domain, I look at myself like a pure athlete. I don't look at myself as healthy. I've always set higher benchmarks. So whether I'm running marathons or doing triathlons, or they're slightly pushing the boundaries. I have multiple identities there, like a trekker, swimmer, gymmer, rower, whatever. And then there's the fourth one, which is the spiritual identity, in which I'm fully confused.
Confused.
Yeah. So, and I admit it happily because I haven't invested time in that domain. The other 3, I have put down time and money, which is why I have some answers. But the fourth one, I haven't allocated any budget yet.
Okay, so you don't want to, or
I will when the time comes. I think the other 3, there's still time to go. So maybe in another 5 years, Nice. I'm seeking, but I'm not desperate. It's not urgent.
Okay, it's not need, right?
It's not urgent.
It's not urgent.
Need is understood. I mean, there are people far smarter and far more intelligent than us who are doing it. So clearly there is a need. Like in Marathi, we have a word called agau. Agau nahi. It's understood that you have to do that at some point. But as of now, I have not kept it on the plate. That 4th dimension. But the other 3, So I have found my so-called passions in all 3. And you just get up every day trying to get better at those roles. But I'm not looking for new ones now. So if I found them, it's
I like this content, like the 4 dimensions.
The 4 content. It keeps it simple. Otherwise, you just keep wondering. Otherwise, I'll tell you, with Indians, it's always profession.
Yeah, it's like
it's OCD profession. Like, what do you do? I'm a photographer. What do you do? I'm a this. Okay, that's just what you do. But who you are, then you jump into adjectives. Oh, I'm a friendly person. We get all that. But so you gotta have context.
So there are like 4. The one is family, the second is profession.
Third is the physical, which is below the neck.
Below the
when
neck.
You look at yourself in the mirror, what kind of person? So most people say I'm overweight, I'm obese, or I'm lazy. These are adjectives they use. So we told them those are just clinical conditions, temporary states of mind. You don't say you're uneducated. You don't say that.
Yeah.
The minute you've read a few books, you're educated. So physically, you may have not invested time, but once you put the time down, you can see someone who's healthy. And then you can see someone who's athletic. So you'd understand that, acha, this guy must be doing something right. He's sorted. The word is sorted. So, from the 90s.
From the 90s. So, like, you introduce yourself, like, pehle se, like, in the four context, like, it's like...
I was always confused. So, there was always confusion. That, it used to scare me, meeting new people. Because I was always confused as to, because, see, profession in India, you will study something and all that is okay. Padhai badhai ho jata hai. But at heart, you're wondering, who actually am I? That answer to that question becomes very complicated. So then you cling to professions for a while, then you cling to relationships for a while, but that's still it's external. It wasn't you.
Yeah, it wasn't you.
You just acquired it.
Yeah.
I call it chronology. You just left home for a few years, wo ho jata hai. At some point you might get married also. So you do become a husband by default, you might have a kid. So these are default acquisitions. They weren't choices. But when you come down to choosing something and then saying, you know what, I'll stand by this. I'll take responsibility for this.
Okay.
Then that cause becomes you. Then there's no difference between you and... You're not doing it because of what's called exotelic reasons, which is, I'll get money, so I'm doing this. You have crossed that little barrier. You're saying, I'll do this even whether I make immediate money or not. I'm willing to put my chips down. So that's a little more mature way of handling. It's not a desperate need to say something that's impressive.
Yeah. So it shouldn't be impressive.
Yeah, like I can start clinging to the universities I've been to. I can start clinging to their pedigree and saying, oh, I've been here, I've been there. But then those are all just things that you acquire on the way.
Yeah.
You don't have to make them... They're not who you are. They're just making you better. But anyway, that's like I said. These are complex things which at 25 will be like, okay.
No, I got the gist. What you're trying to say. Like this like struggle for me too.
Yeah.
When I introduce myself to different personality.
Yeah.
So
you keep clinging to. I'm currently in the digital space.
Yeah.
And then within that, people ask you, so what are you actually doing for money? Then you'll say, oh, I'm doing this, but I'm not getting paid that much yet. So then there's definitions of success. Are you successful or not? So how do you define success at 25?
Yeah.
There's no way to define it. So you're always searching for some way to say, oh, I'm sorted. But you're not actually sorted. Because you're still finding
your feet. Just exploring the different paths.
And it's interesting, the searching, but then what happens in India, people always push you. They want that one thing so they can bracket you quickly. Acha, so Rahul is this.
Okay, just put in that
pocket and that chapter's closed, for them. And then they quickly make a mental model of how much he must be earning.
Yeah, so that's how they
and all this is fine while it's somebody else's opinion. The problem is when it starts becoming your own. Then you start limiting your own thing, saying, maybe my field is worthy of this only. So most of us are not groomed that way to believe that, we are told you want to be a sweeper, be the best damn sweeper. But sweeper has a limit on how much money they can make and what, but then there are people who go and form companies that sweep the whole country. And they are multi-million-dollar company. But nobody told you that from becoming a sweeper to owning that company, there's a huge evolution that has to occur.
Yeah.
It's not that simple. Just because I sweep well, I'll become the founder of a multi-million-dollar sweeping company.
That's not by taught.
Transition is not default.
Yeah, that's a choice.
You have a choice and development. You have to surround yourself with... sweeping may be a passion. That doesn't mean the world owes you something. I was living in that myth for many years. Because I'm a good runner, I'm a good swimmer, I'm an athlete, I should get paid for it. No,
it shouldn't be
going to happen. Because I don't have talent. If you're talented, it's fine. But I wasn't talented at that. So there are lots of things which, like I said, you have to learn to let go along the way. But unless you try, you just remain theory.
It's just you need a courage to that convert into a monetization it's just a
learn.
You learn to how to make money from this.
You learn how different models are being done in different parts of the different fields. Like real estate has more set has more set models. चलो ये करो ये करो ये करो, चलो इसमें से इतना मार्जिन बनता है, चलो it's a set thing. But the minute you get into a self-entrepreneur model, there are no set business practices, and especially in a country like India, which is a very unorganized market. People don't know what to pay for services. People know what to pay for products.
Yeah, that's very important point. I feel like that's very very important. Like if I'm a freelancer and I'm giving you a video editing service, so
what do you charge? Yeah, it's a very big problem in our country, because and there will always be somebody doing it at 1/4 the cost that you claim to charge, and people will say इतना थोड़ी रहता है. And then you get offended. You're like, नहीं इतना रहता है. They're like, कितना टाइम लगता है? तो it's like 2 घंटे के लिए इतने पैसे थोड़ी लग. So you start depreciating your own skills and values. So, and then you'll go abroad, you'll realize they charge per hour. They charge for their time, whereas it's Indians, we charge for the service. It's very difficult. So when you leave conventional careers in India, there is a phase of of fear, and the biggest fear comes from the family only, and they're not doing it they're not ridiculing you, they're doing it out of fear of, they just want you to be happy because you have decided what your end goal is. नहीं मुझे ये करना है, ठीक है भाई, पर वो उसमें माउंटेन पर चढ़ने को कोई सीधा रास्ता है नहीं, तो थोड़ा धक्के खाने पड़ते हैं, and in that phase it gets tempting छोड़ना वो. This is not like some fairy tale of entrepreneurship कि there will be hardships. These are not hardships, these are first world problems.
So that like I just want to deep down into this point, like which we brought up, freelancing. Like what's that for, like how to that the person who is doing freelancing, like how to solve that problem. Like is there any way to position yourself, because the someone like him, he's like 23-year-old 24-year-old, right? So he doesn't know like how to position themselves, because he just started, he don't know the experience, he don't know how to position myself. So is there any how you are into services,
you have to go through a phase of, see, first of all, you don't know what you're worth yourself. You have a industry benchmark of people who have been doing this for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. So an IT professional who starts out gets paid 10 to 15 lakhs a year. In the second phase of their 5, they go to 30 lakhs, then they go to 50 lakhs, then they go to 75. So there is a 5-year bracketing there, which happens. Now in freelancing, there's no guarantee. But in freelancing, there is pedigree, which means the orbits that you are roaming in, who are the people you are working with, and what is your perceived value in their eyes. So if you're working with, let's say, people at the entry level chain, their budgets for what you do will be, say, 2,000 rupees an hour. You get into certain higher levels of orbits, their budgets for what you do become 10,000 an hour. But they expect you to carry that level of equipment. They expect certain level of professionalism. Then you get into someone who charges 1 lakh per hour. It's like a tailor. You can go to a tailor here and get your clothes made in 2,000 bucks. He'll make you a suit if you want. It's not that his suit doesn't, he has 30 years experience. He also makes a good suit. But then you have Manish Malhotra who will charge you 2 crores for a wedding suit. What's the difference?
That's
So the difference is pedigree. He has just, both of them have degree, but he has built his pedigree. He's built his, you already know who he is when you enter the shop. So his image, your perception of him is very different. So as a freelancer, it takes time to build that body of work where the audience already knows you before you enter the. That level takes a little time. So you have to build your body. You have to showcase that much work. It's not just showing, oh, look at these 25 videos I've shot. Fine. But who are you networking with? Which is why people do MBAs from big universities. Because they borrow pedigree from those names. They meet people.
I worked with this X person.
Not only worked with, it's actually you have brainstormed with. You know them and they know you, more importantly. So that's why they have recommendations on LinkedIn. So today, if I have to search you, I will go online. Where will I go? I'll go to LinkedIn professionally. What's the first thing? Now you researched me on LinkedIn. It just goes to show. Now when you saw my LinkedIn, you assumed, this guy has some pedigree. Why? Because you saw a bunch of logos there. All I'm saying is the world has come down to 30 seconds of analyzing
It's like a highlighting
It's
part.
highlighting.
Yeah.
So below my name, if you see a LinkedIn heat map as they call it on social media, you'll first see the banner, you'll see the photo, and then you'll see those 4 lines below my name. That summarizes everything you need to know. And you made a perception. Oh shit, this guy must be expensive. Then when you walk in here and I can say any number I want, if you can't afford it, I won't feel bad because I know that you can't afford it.
Yeah.
Because there are enough people in my mind who can afford what I do. So I don't get offended anymore.
Yeah.
But there is an age where when you're coming of age as a freelancer, there's a lot of offense there because you're bringing passion.
Passion and with the context also, like.
But just because you're passionate doesn't mean your perceived value has to be what you think because your competency hasn't been established. It's only your passion that you're selling.
Yeah.
Passion has no value in the real world because people want मुझे क्या मिलने वाला है ठीक है भाई तू पैशनेट है अच्छा है तेरे लिए पर मुझे क्या मिलने वाला है
Yeah.
वो काम मैंने देखा नहीं है so it's that shift from
That
your
shift.
passion will always be there. I'm assuming you find passion. Once you found your passion, then establishing credibility takes time. You can borrow credibility using qualifications. You can borrow it using contacts also. But finally what matters is that body of work.
Okay.
काम कितना किया है
काम कितना
और
किया
जितना जल्दी कर लो उतना लोग it's like a venture capitalist. How many startups have you sold? You sold 5 startups. Suddenly I'm like, okay, this guy knows how to do the entire value chain. He knows how to build a business model, gather funding, I'll get acquired, I'll get an exit in his case. I'm already safe. So वो घोड़ा पता है ना फिर वो अच्छा घोड़ा है.
Right.
तो I'm just saying जितना जल्दी आप घोड़ा बन जाओगे उतना आसान हो जाता है. It's not very difficult. Just a little bit of patience. And as a freelancer, I told you, there's no map.
There is no map. It's just a ground. You have to find the
And
ways.
you read. You have to read your backside off. I read a book a week. I've read a book a week for 5 years. I always read.
You read a book in a week.
Yeah, I read any book I can find. See, you don't read the whole thing.
Okay.
You learn to get the point in the 2-3 lines of a paragraph and you learn to skip. Because all books contain about 30-40% of stuff that has just been added to make it voluminous. So if you learn to read fast,
Yeah.
and nowadays the beauty of Google is you can find highlights of a book also.
Yeah.
So you
the
don't
summary.
even have to, so you get the summary, then you go back to the highlights and so you get the gist very quickly.
Yeah.
Like you read the Almanac of Naval Ravikant. Now at this age it may be too young, but a little older when you get a lot of work coming your way. What to choose?
Yeah.
Where to say no?
Yeah. So how do you complete all of this in a week? Like, since you bring the point.
Yeah, I read in the morning. First thing I do, I get up, I read. So that half an hour, 45 minutes is
If a book has 500, like it has a 500 page.
Yeah, but I told you, you learn to skip. Because there's a lot of stuff. It's like a serial. You just skip through certain things because it's not relevant to you. You don't have to read everything just because you know.
Yeah, and lots of people are like I'm like the nowadays, like due to this social media, like most of the students or most of the people are like they are doing just telling to other people like I am reading a book.
Yeah.
And like I am reading like past 1 month, past 2 months, so they are just want to read each and every page. Like I was also doing that same thing.
Yeah.
I also completed this, as you mentioned, like Almanac of Naval Ravikant. I have completed in a month only, not in.
And you're still wondering how to price yourself. He's given the answer in that book.
Yeah.
He's given the answer in that book. How to price
the
yourself.
wealth and happiness he
How to
highlighted.
price your services. The time value he calls it the time value he calls it. If your current value of your time, if you took a job, let's say you would earn 10 lakhs. It's straight now. Per hour you work 8 hours a day. You do the math. Let's say your current ability is to earn 2,500 per hour. That's your current at this age.
Yeah.
Fine. If you're going to be doing freelancing in let's say another field, can you earn that much? At least it's a starting point.
Yeah.
Maybe in 5 years time you'll realize okay I can earn 20,000 rupees an hour for freelancing. Okay. So let that model will evolve. But have you built enough ability to go from 2,500? Like have you started working with people in that orbit?
Yeah. So whoever is like 0 to 2,500,
For
you
whom
want to work
your
with
value is 2,000, is 20,000. Oh, it's just a matter of time. Some people crack it very quickly.
Yeah.
Like, it's not
That's the difference between the local.
But it's not necessary.
Oh,
there are a lot of people who are happy even at 2005. So ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है कि everyone that gets very narrow at the top, no?
Yeah.
So, and then work becomes very limited. साल में 2 contract मिलेंगे. But at 2,500 to 5,000 budget, there is unlimited work. So then you delegate because your creativity may not be needed to that level. So you find someone to do work for you and you collect 25 contracts for 2,500. Right. So again, nobody's right, nobody's wrong. You have to get out of your own perception of, I only want to be Manish Malhotra. There are thousands of people making thousands of suits every month. He may be making 1 suit a month.
Right. But
both make the same amount of money.
Yeah.
He just puts all his effort into one. He makes one masterpiece. Whereas those guys make so many more. They may not be collector's items or whatever because they don't have his tag. But again, you have to stop trying to be both. थोड़ा difficult हो जाता है. Like,
you just need to choose one.
And find USP. Find your USP. थोड़ा like, that's the first bit. Like I said, this is all the professional because as Indians, I say obsessed with profession.
Yeah, it's just you learn from your mistakes and like whatever you are doing on daily basis and mainly
just keep making mistakes. Otherwise, you're just thinking. You're not making. You're just thinking. फिर क्या होगा? Like, गलती होगा और क्या होगा? घर तो नहीं बिकेगा ना. If you're not making that level mistake,
घर तो नहीं बिकेगा. Yeah. So I just want to just divert like whatever we're discussing. Like I just want to ask another question. Is that like I just want to know your like how all this start? Like like how your journey started. Like can you tell me?
Yeah. Of course, I'm the child to 2 doctors, so that inherent thing was there. I never wanted to do anything to do with doctoring because I thought I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just felt that they worked too hard for what they did, and they also kind of convinced me that it was too hard. So they also wanted me to do. They didn't know what, but then at the last minute they said, "नहीं कुछ नहीं यही कर लो." So then वो करके ऐसे चल dentistry कर लेते हैं because it's at least it's a very simple thing. 4 years में degree खत्म होता है, तो I did it. But when I passed out, I realized I'm not inherently passionate about it, and it wasn't intellectually saturating me. My problem is I like to go to deep levels. Like I like that saturation, and I like humor. I like being with people. Somehow in that 200-300 square feet, that was not happening for me. So in 3-4 years of practicing, I told my wife, I think I'll have to explore beyond. But then फिर करना क्या है?
Yeah.
तो वो बड़ा question चालू हो जाता है. So you start getting lost, and I'm not from a business family. So the immediate solution was not चलो चाइना जाओ एक कंटेनर भर के टोपी लेके आओ और बेचना चालू करो. It's not going to be that. So then what do you do? Luckily for me, I started running at that point. Somebody suggested, try running. So I was always lean, but I was not an athlete. So I started running a lot. I ran marathons, half marathons. Someday I started doing triathlon. I started enjoying being alone. And I realized that when I was alone, I was no longer scared. Because earlier that fear was always there. I needed people all the time to tell me, nahin to acha insaan hai types. You're not a bad son. Even though you don't love what you do, you don't make a lot of money, but you're still a decent guy. You needed that validation. But after some time, as I got closer to 28, 29, that need fell away. And then by the time I was 28, I said, I'm ready to shift. So I decided to do sports medicine. So I went to New Zealand, I took admission, then I did my master's there. And there again I ran much more because they have trails and that's a different country. There they value that life. Here we value profession. So my guide there asked me, so son, who are you? And I said, I'm Dr. Leo. He said, I didn't ask you for your profession. I asked you who you are. So I said, that's what I've come here to find out. So he said, they're very funny. So I said, no, I'm serious. He said, okay, then let's find out. And over the next 2-3 years, we found it. We found that empathetic element in me, which is towards obese people and obesity and all that. And then when I came back, I realized I need to make collaborations like that. But again, when I came back here, I made world-class mistakes. I got into business again. I got into startup and I got carried away into things which I'm not basically built for.
Glamorized.
हाँ नहीं वो तो दिखावे में दिखना चाहिए कुछ कर रहा है.
Yeah.
Then unfortunately बहुत भागा दौड़ी की and then I realized that the money world जो ये पैसों का खेल it's not me. मेरे को motivation नहीं आता है उसमें से कि I have to get it. There are people who are perfectly motivated by I have 1 crore, I have to make it 2 crore. And that's sufficient motivation. And for me that's not. I need to be very much in love with the 1 crore 2 crore कैसे बनेगा वो बाद में देखेंगे. पहले 1 करोड़ का करना क्या है, like I have to be very passionate about that.
Okay.
Which is very stupid because money is money.
Money is money.
You don't confuse money with, like, the example I give is being passionate and being naive. Innocence is a very dangerous combination. It's okay to be passionate. It's not okay to be naive. Then your business suffers. Because then the world starts taking advantage of your passion. They'll come and tell, अरे चलना आना शूट कर लेना मेरे साथ. तो you'll say चल अरे मेरे को काम तो मिल रहा है. So you'll go and shoot. And then बाद में say अरे 1,000 रुपए ले लेना. And then you later come to know he charged 25,000 from the client. Then you feel bad. And this is basically because you were so passionate that you were not willing to make the ask. You're just naive.
Yeah, you just want to make
you just want to work,
yeah,
so that you can justify to the world कि मैं काम तो कर रहा हूँ passion के field में. ये मैंने बहुत किया 3-4-5 साल. I ran around schools. I did a lot of things, but then after some time I realized that it's not good, not me. I'm not that guy. So I stopped doing all that. Got back to running. Got back to triathlon. Got back to who I am. And then it all comes together. You start making collaborations with people who are good at the things that you are not good at. So there's somebody who's good at managing money. There's somebody who's good at marketing. There's somebody good at... So you start making the collaborations. You stop trying to do it all.
Yeah, delegation.
Not delegation, partnership.
Partnership.
Delegation is when employee को रखा है वो कर रहा है. This is strategic collaborations.
Okay, with organization.
With organizations.
Okay.
And you start becoming that type of a person who can build long-term collaborations with people who are good at what you're not good at. Instead of trying to build those skills every time.
Yeah. Why not delegation? Like
delegations, then you are again becoming an entrepreneur. You are hiring people. You have to get it done.
Yeah.
These are high-value tasks. You can't afford to hire people of that value. You want people as good as you. You can't hire those people. Those people are running their own organizations.
Okay.
So हर जगह पे you can't hire people. Then you have to strategically collaborate.
Okay.
Let's say for example somebody is doing lab tests for patients. I don't want to start a lab. I have to collaborate with labs. So I go and meet them. I said, ये मेरे patient हैं, इनके आप test करो. So then okay, why should I go start that vertical? For everything I don't have to start verticals. Let's say now for example I like to tell patients to buy resistance bands. Should I start selling resistance bands? No. I just talk, there are these online, Amazon is there, go and buy from these 3 links. So these are collaborations. You have outsourced.
Yeah.
You're not wasting your creative
energy
space
and
into building those things which, again, if I was motivated by the money and maybe someday somebody might come and tell me, अरे 1,000 बैंड महीने के बिक सकते इतना पैसा, he's right. Maybe he might do it. But as of now, I haven't felt the need to, That's what I told you. After a while, you start becoming very clear कि यार ये मेरा skill है, मैं इतना ही करूँगा.
So how did you realize this? मतलब you went for this course, thesis, and
I wisdom kept you read, na? Again you read, and you find yourself going back and back to some topic.
Okay, and
again
you
and
got
again and
interested
again and again, and you realize like you can't have enough of that.
Yeah.
And बिना पैसों की भी तुम पढ़ लोगे. Like कोई पैसा भी नहीं दे रहा है फिर भी मैं उसके बारे में I just can't get enough of that topic. And there may be 100 others doing it. But 99% of the time it happens when you meet a great teacher. Yeah. Otherwise it won't happen. तुम कुछ भी कर लो खुद से. You need to have somebody. You need to see somebody passionate, and you realize that I can be that life.
That person.
I can that person or that life. I like that life. Okay. Like my professors were very
lifestyle.
Lifestyle. You like that life. It's very endearing to you. Feel like यार क्या मस्त है यार. Like I really like that. And then you realize that okay, I don't have to be exactly what my parents were. I don't have to be exactly what Indian system expects. I can do something.
Yeah.
So that shift which starts occurring, na कि यार there are other lives.
So they're like ये basket से बाहर निकल के like there are so many another lives also like we can follow.
It's tough because you need conviction. And for me the hardest thing was having faith कि I'll make it. Okay. It's very hard because the world convinces you that नहीं वो नहीं होने वाला है और तेरे से तो नहीं होने वाला है. That very difficult and when you're wrestling with that as it is, you don't know whether I like this thing or not. उसके ऊपर इसका मार्केट वैल्यू है कि नहीं ये भी नहीं मालूम. उसके ऊपर पूरी दुनिया बोल रहा है होगा पर तेरे से नहीं होगा. तो when तीनों का कॉम्बिनेशन आ जाता है ना तो चेकमेट हो जाता है आदमी.
Yeah. So I am assuming that this is the same thing happened when you switched,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Every time I've switched, it's happened. I've gone through that phase of low self-esteem. You're
Okay.
like, पता नहीं
कर लेंगे,
होगा कि नहीं.
होगा कि नहीं.
There are some blessed people who are born with that confidence. Like an Elon Musk, for example. He never has self-doubt. Because he'll acquire the talent, he will acquire the money, and he'll get it done. There are certain communities in India that are like that. Like the Marwadi community is like that. When I meet them, I am so amazed. They never lack faith that they will be able to turn a business around.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
They are very high risky. Like
Risk also, but faith है कि हम नहीं करेंगे तो कौन करेगा. They are extremely bullish on anything they start. Our problem is again it's all about grooming. We were not groomed like that. So we try and study. मैं पढ़ाई करके
like conventional
instinctual रहता है और हमारे को वो instinct नहीं है. But my instinct for what a patient is thinking, that but no money also can't buy and education can't teach. Because when I meet patients and I have a sixth sense of what they are not telling me. Now that is a gift. But I have honed it over 25,000 patients. No, इतना आसान थोड़ी है. वो पहले दिन पे नहीं था. मुझे पता भी नहीं था ये होता क्या है.
Okay.
पर धीरे धीरे मुझे समझ में आ गया कि ये एक्चुअली जो नहीं बोल रहा है ना वो मुझे सुनाई देता है. एंड बाय द थर्ड और फोर्थ मिनट आई कम डाउन टू इट क्या चल उसकी बात करें. लाइक सर वो आपको कैसे पता चला. आई एम लाइक
okay.
so again how do you monetize that?
How do you, yeah, it's very difficult.
You can't. But I can waste my time trying to monetize it, or I can collaborate with people who have already monetized it.
Okay. Like you tried with the different
you work with different people. You keep working with different till you find your strategic fit.
Yeah.
Takes time. Point is there should be no, again if you want to be the hero,
Yeah.
I'm going to do it all. ठीक है कर ले. नसीब में तो हो जाएगा.
Yeah.
But again that ecosystem is hard to create. Not so simple. और कॉपी करने में 2 दिन लगता है.
हाँ.
फिर कहाँ जाओगे. So what's called the moat na in MBA, the what's protecting your little USP. अगर 2 मिनट में कोई कॉपी कर ले सकता है तो और at a lower price.
You mentioned moat. Can you explain that?
Moat is a sort of like a entry, like behind around every fort there are those alligators in that water. कोई enter नहीं कर सकता.
कोई enter नहीं कर सकता. The enter barrier.
Yeah, entry barrier. So
Entry barrier.
It's like a moat. It's protecting you. But if there's no moat around what you do.
So that should be there.
Yeah. Whatever you do, you have to try and create it. Like for most education professions, the education is the moat. Unless you study neurosurgery, you can't do neurosurgery. तो वो 10 साल का पढ़ाई करना पड़ता है. But in any of our creative fields, there is no moat. Digital marketing में थोड़ी moat है.
कोई भी
English आता है, थोड़ा you can speak well, and you can market yourself. What else do you need? Agreed. The creative, like I said, the top of the pyramid, there will always be a moat because those guys have a gift, talent रहता है. Like say some of our finfluencers who are there, some of our comedians who are there, they are really talented. Talent is an incredible moat, but for the rest of the world who are not that gifted, like a Sachin Tendulkar, how much ever time you spend in the nets, you are not going to become a Sachin Tendulkar.
Okay.
कितना भी कर ले, hard work, because talent plus hard work beats hard work.
Okay, talents plus hard work
beats hard work. कितना भी hard work कर ले, you are not going to be as good as the talented guy. So I wanted to be a professional athlete back then. When I was 26, 20, I hired an Australian coach and चलो speed बढ़ाएंगे, and I lost even more weight. I became ripped, 6-pack ये वो, and I started running. I was running 10Ks that time, so I ran a 10K in about 36 minutes, which is very fast. And I sent it to him, and he said, "You know what? I think you should not do this professionally." So I said, "Why?" So he said, "Look, in the Olympic triathlon, people run the average 10K in about 28 to 30 minutes. Now you are running a 36 minutes without swimming and cycling. Okay. If I make you swim and cycle, your timing will become 42, 43. You are 10 minutes away from the world class timing. तुम कितना भी मेहनत कर लोगे ना, you cannot bridge that gap.
Okay, the
that
gap
10-minute gap, you'll improve 10%, which means 42 will come to 38. It's never going to come to
42.
Never going to come to 30.
30, okay,
30.
yeah.
So you'll never qualify for Olympics. And you're already 28. अब तुम 16 साल के होते तो 10 साल बैठ के घिस के मे भी थोड़ा improve कर लेते. But it's not only too late, but you don't have the basic talent. So let's not waste time, but you have academic talent, no? So dig deeper in there rather than.
Yeah.
So it was a very wise advice. But यहाँ पे कोई देता नहीं है वो advice. यहाँ वो आपसे पैसा लेते रहेगा और कन्विंस करते रहेगा नहीं नहीं you'll make it or not he'll make it. You have to be very careful. वो बुद्धू बना रहा है. तो ये गोरे लोग का खासियत रहता है. They tell you. They are very conscientious. Generally they are conscientious. They'll tell you कि यार, especially the passionate ones. They'll be like नहीं बेटा this is not for you.
You mentioned like the so many you need to find that part like creative sense
innovative
by
part of it,
by end of like let's say it's not very
Some
age
point,
limited
at some point.
but so, like I observed like there are so many students like 18 or maybe like 30 age 30-year-old 40-year-old they are still figuring out that creative part and they are very consistently putting their effort on their whatever they want to achieve but they are not able to crack that code. So why is that happening?
It's a very interesting. You read this book. There's a book called, I can't pronounce his second name, but his name is Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. His name is. He's an Israeli guy, I think.
Okay.
He's written these two books. One is on the concept of flow, how a human being blocks out everything and just like meditation or like running, पूरा flow में चला जाता है. And the second book which he's written is on creativity and flow. Okay. So how the flow leads to the creative insight. Like even humor, like a joke, how does it suddenly strike somebody that he then is able to deliver that key insight at that time? So basically creativity is all insight, na? Insight. Yeah. Suddenly वो एक आ जाता है idea, like spark or whatever. So he goes into details in that कि most of the time it's a 20-year effort followed by a 1-second insight. You will find all the great innovations have come at the end of. Like for the 5 people sitting around a table brainstorming how to make an iPad, that's 5 years multiplied by 10 years of insane amount of brainstorming, effort, education, knowledge, reading, inspiration. So much experience has come together, and then in a split second you got those answers of how to make. So the innovation theory, what's called design thinking, when you crowdsource the thing. So all the great innovation labs in the US, like when I did my Stanford degree, we covered that. There are innovation labs where people from so many fields come, sit, the wealth of experience comes, the diversity of opinions comes, and then you get that insight. If an 18-year-old could do it sitting with a laptop in a coffee shop and a latte, then I think life would have been much simpler. It wouldn't be so complex. If you think you're going to sit with a MacBook and just sit in just order a latte and sit for 4 hours and you're going to get this incredible piece of like, wow, okay, I've solved the universal problem. I know the key to happiness. It's not going to happen. Okay. Even a Buddha had to leave his family, go sit in a forest under a tree, meditate for years, and then get that moment of inspiration or whatever. So it's never going to be that simple. What you're solving are two things. One is when you take a puzzle that you think you want to solve right now. You think the world needs this service. Okay, you're sitting with that question, you're going and sitting in coffee shop, Googling, you're making, sort of essays of tables and start trying to solve that puzzle. Great. But there are people 20 years ahead of you down the food chain who have been doing that puzzle for 20 years. Let's say you want to find the cure to cancer. There will be people for 25, 30 years with 2 PhDs trying to solve it. And with same IQs or higher IQs. So that presumption, okay, I'm the first guy doing this. Is the innocence I'm talking about. The faster you cure yourself of that, the better it is. Instead, save yourself a lot of time. Go and meet those people.
Okay.
Tell them, where are you struggling? Can I help? He'll say, yes, you can help. This is where we are struggling. Then you might have a different spin on it.
Right.
Because you're a fresh guy. You're a fresh idea. You might have new ideas, which is what a new generation brings. But don't come with the arrogance of youth saying, उनको कुछ पता ही नहीं है. मैं बताता हूँ.
The learning attitude.
Just be egoless. Because there are people tremendously smarter who have been besotted with the same idea. Like for example, weight loss. Maybe weight loss ka time has come, which is why I'm suddenly successful. Maybe 10 years ago when I was trying to sell weight loss, people were not interested. मैं कितना भी मैं creative marketing करूँ, people were not interested. Today, people are so interested because maybe social media combined with vanity and cameras in everyone's hand has suddenly led to that point where everyone wants to become lean. Fine, that's become the cause, but it's enabled my passion to find an outlet. I don't have to sell so much anymore. Whatever. I'm just saying, and luckily being a doctor, I can sell it on health grounds also.
Yeah.
I can sell it on vanity grounds also. I'm just saying that I can use multiple leverages because by the time the idea ka time has come, I was prepared. Now you'll say, अरे कितना smart है, कितना मस्त idea लेके बेचता है. अरे पर वो idea को time लगने में 20 साल गए हैं. पापड़ बहुत बेले है. It's not that simple. I recognized the idea when it came, no? An 18-year-old with a laptop will not.
Yeah.
He has not seen 20,000 patients.
Yeah.
No matter how much he's fascinated with the idea of weight loss, he'll make 3-4 killer reels, he'll transform 3-4 people. It's not that simple. A, he hasn't found why he himself is doing it. What is his actual passion there? And B, what is the need of the market? Both puzzles he has not solved. And ये दोनों को फिक्स मर्ज करना है ना कहीं तो. मेरा टैलेंट और दुनिया का नीड ये मर्ज करेगा तो ही जाके उसको कोई हवा मिलेगा ना. पर लोगों को क्या लगता है बस मुझे कर. ये मेरा भी इनसेंस था. Especially when you come from second generation wealth, third generation money, 4 घर 4 गाड़ी, you have a lot of entitlement. You think यार मुझे करना है और मुझे इतना चार्ज करना है. दुनिया को हाँ बोलना चाहिए. पर मैं इंग्लिश बात करता हूँ. Then you learn rejection. People start saying no. And then you're like, okay.
मेरे को कैसे ना बोला?
मेरे पास मेरे को नहीं बोला. Like, and you think you're correcting some existential wrong. You're like, पर वहाँ वो हो रहा नहीं है. मैं बोल रहा हूँ ना वो करना चाहिए.
Right.
हाँ करना चाहिए पर अभी नहीं. 5 साल बाद करेंगे. You're like, मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा ये ना क्यों बोल रहा है. So that वो जो बचपना रहता है ना कि मैं मांग रहा हूँ. You have to cure yourself for that.
Okay.
That takes a little time. In that time, your faith will be tested in your passion.
Right. So when you give it more time and you are getting a rejections, and
you will dig many wells where there is no water. Then you will realize, but then you start questioning, maybe ये field में पानी है ही नहीं. That is the tricky part. को दुनिया बोलेगा ना, चल get out, पैसा कमा, ये सब छोड़ो और ये सब नादानी है, बचपन है. But you have to
just give your time.
No, then you shut up and go take a job and keep digging your wells on weekends.
Right.
Because if you're smart enough, you'll realize that I need to dig multiple places. The world can't sit around waiting for you to dig one only. So then you diversify your talents. Because India is not such a forgiving place where you can. The ecosystem is not so simple. Abroad, what happens? They have support systems and structures for many things. You know, they have structures for. Like suppose you're an academician, there's a pathway to become an academician. Here now academicians are getting paid well. अभी तक तो नहीं था. वो कितना simple नहीं है. वही बोल रहा हूँ. You have to what's called moonlighting. Weekends पे 2 और काम करो यार.
Yeah, so do it like whatever like needs to be done for getting money in. Do that.
Passion नहीं होगा.
Yeah, do that.
Profession होगा. अरे पर कर ना भाई. You learn 2 new skills there which will help in your passion later, no?
Yeah.
You know, so all I'm saying is thoda the practically and get out of idealism.
Right.
You know, get into realism, pragmatism, which is you know what's the right thing to do right now. Not what's the ideal thing to do right now. Then your hands are tied behind your back because you're expecting everybody who you meet is going to buy into your idealism.
Yeah.
But he might be a practical guy.
That will
and
not
you are not flexible. फिर खत्म हो गया बात. फिर तू better हो फिर coffee shop में. You know, or keep sending emails to people. I'm not getting answers. अरे but his need is not your need, no. So then you start bending your needs to suit him. Then you'll get depressed. कि मैं बिकाऊ बन गया हूँ. मैं अपना product ही भूल गया हूँ. अपने आप को भूल गया हूँ. अरे पर मनीष मल्होत्रा पहले दिन पे मनीष मल्होत्रा थोड़ी था यार.
Right.
You know, he made thousands of suits for smaller people with much lesser money, but he kept at it. No, 30 years later, the guys made it. Same with the interior designer. Same with the content creator. Content creator is a very young field.
Yeah.
Like your field is not even maybe 10 years old. Maybe the graduates of this field are maybe 10 years old.
Yeah.
Forget the freelancers.
Yeah.
Even the graduates are not really content creators. They are strategists. They know strategy. They know how you should allocate your budgets.
Yeah.
But they don't really know how to create. So content creators are very nascent people sitting in Goa with a laptop. बहुत अलग चीज है. All I'm saying is nobody knows how this is going to evolve. Maybe Chat GPT will just take over the content.
Yeah.
Who knows? So then what's your plan B? अभी बोला ना, you asked, who are you? Contentpreneur. एक ही है. कल Chat GPT आ गया, चादर खींच लिया. अभी क्या?
Right.
Now what? Now you haven't been to university, you don't know how to write, you don't know anything else.
Prepare for a plan B.
There always has to be a plan B. I'm not saying you have a plan B and actively pursue it.
Okay.
But you can hone your skills, no? See, we can. My dad used to always tell me, if you speak English, you'll make money easily. If you don't speak English, thoda you have to struggle because your job sphere becomes limited. But if you speak English, you can just walk into a mall, become a manager of some store, and earn 30 to 40,000 rupees a month. कमा लो. उतना तो तुम कर लोगे. 8 घंटे जाके खड़े रहने की बात है. तो पैसा कमाना up to a limit is not difficult. You're only not getting it because you're entitled. Like I said, you don't need the money.
Right.
But the day you actually need the money, you might go do that. So that's always there. That's plan B. But plan A is what? How do you actually define planning? So it's not that. वही बोल रहा हूँ ना, सिंपल नहीं है. सिंपल नहीं है. पर घाई क्या है? वो अलग बात है.
Is there any sometime like you feel that that person, that particular person are ahead from me, or that like I need to reach that level, or like I'm not very happy with the where I am. ऐसे thoughts you come, and how to cope with that?
होता है. See, when you want to become better than you, when you meet people better than you, typically either they are incredible risk takers. They are able to really spread themselves thin and really take risk. Like, you should have that appetite. Like, to be honest, the person who has a shop below my house, he probably does equal turnover of what I do, and he has 1/10 the education. Okay, but I can sit and get inspired there also, no? But I'm not comparing myself to him because I know that he's doing in his domain. He's at the top of his field. I'm at the top of my field. There are always going to be people better than me. I have not thought about anyone. I frankly don't think too much about, as long as my plate is full.
Yeah.
Like, to me, where I saw my parents growing up, they always had enough work. Like, one thing I have developed over the last 15 years of my working life, when whatever I have been doing, work has found its way to me tremendously. I've never been jobless.
Okay.
Because I have that one classic skill. I know how to sell. Whether I'm selling my own work, my passion, my interest, whatever I'm creating, if you know how, like, you have to be, that's why you learn from the great American models. वो इतना passionate हो जाते हैं ना about whether they're selling an iPhone or whether they're selling a burger. वो ऐसा story बनाते हैं ना उसमें कि यार you will go and try it. And that's master class. वो सिर्फ बनाते ही नहीं है, बेचते भी है. इंडिया में प्रॉब्लम क्या है, हम सब बनाते हैं पर बेचने को शर्म आता है. हमको लगता है वो मेरा काम
डिग्रेड कर,
वो कोई और लेके आओ. वही फर्क उतना है कि you have to become, and when you're sitting at the top, the owners of the organizations, if you are not going to sell, then who are you expecting to sell? इतना महंगा प्रोडक्ट तुम ही नहीं बेच पा रहे हो, तो down the line how will somebody sell it? You got to have that ability to sell. More than sell, you got to be humble to ask for work.
Yeah.
वो अपने इधर कल्चर बहुत बेकार है. कोई मुझे आके लेके जाएगा तो मैं करूँगा, नहीं तो मैं घर पे बैठ के नेटफ्लिक्स.
Okay, you should reach out with the right.
Handle rejection. People will say no, but you got the ability to say कि यार मेरा अपना टाइम नहीं है, अपना कुंडली मैच नहीं हुआ है फिलहाल, मे बी आगे जाके होएगा, जब भी उसको मेरी जरूरत पड़ेगी करेगा, मे बी नहीं करेगा.
So what do you think, like what are these skills, like top 3 skills, let's say top 3 skills you need, you think that the one person should develop
as a freelancer?
Yeah, as a freelancer, as a person, like like as a 18-year.
I think first you need to solve all 4 identities. First and foremost, you got to know who you are. So go through that experimentation. Family wise, you settle down with whatever roles you are playing. You settle down with your, if you whenever, if and when you find a significant other, you settle down with that concept. Chalo, this is, I found a partner and that's it. Now in that domain, maybe you have kids, maybe you don't, whatever it is, that let that mathematic play out. So by 25, 30, something might happen. Then you come into the third. Meanwhile, you physically don't degrade yourself. Because we live in a very visible society. So the biggest skill today is looking healthy. If you don't look fit, people have already seen your DP.
Yeah.
So if they've seen your DP, already judged you, यार ये 100 किलो का इंसान है, ये आलसी लग रहा है. All perception. It has nothing to do with reality. You might be a phenomenal entrepreneur trading stock markets in the house. But from a personal perspective, I have already judged you, man, because we live in a visual world. People are judging you from your online presence. So I see your photos, you're like 100 kilo, अगर हर बार खाने का ही photo post करता है. Okay, now they've decided I don't want to associate with this guy.
Right.
His values don't match mine. People have already made that kundli attached. Either I should involve this guy in my ecosystem or not. Now, if it's already prejudice, then it's a lot of pressure on you after you meet to impress that person. So the first thing you can do today is make yourself desirable. Not desirable in that context, but desirable in a purely association context. Can you look the part? Like I'm sure you saw all my photos. You realize ये सिर्फ बात नहीं करता है, फिटनेस का फिट तो है, आधे फोटोज तो स्विमिंग करते हुए, खाना खाते तो एक भी फोटो डालता नहीं. Because he walks what he talks, right? He practices what he preaches. So that, like I told you, credibility. That credibility is built. Right. So first skill you got to do is you have to look sorted. People don't want to associate with people who are not sorted.
Like presence, like online presence.
Online presence should match your offline what you're doing. कोई फेक बिजनेस क्योंकि 2 दिन में दिख जाता है.
It should be aligned.
हाँ, यहाँ you're talking about fitness when you're sitting and ordering vada pav. Then people say यार hypocrisy है.
हाँ.
So you can't be.
सिर्फ healthy photo ही डालता है online.
Whatever. हाँ, यहाँ healthy डालता है, यहाँ hypocrite है. So थोड़ा sort out your brain. Stop leading dual lives.
Right.
That's first. So you'll get better at your skill. Now you have solved 3 personalities. Spiritual will leave because frankly I don't have any knowledge there. I have also read books and met people good at it. But I think you should be able to take rejection. That is the best skill. The faster you can handle rejection without going home and sulking. If you can't take it today, go through it. That is the MBA school. Go to 1,000 people and ask for work. Let 99 say no. Let that one your value is not good enough. And let one more not pay you. Then you will handle. वो आदमी बोलता है ना मैं बंदा बन गया कि you will realize यार इन नादानी में नहीं चलता है ये. ठीक है, काम करना पड़ता है, फिर ही लोग बोलेंगे काम अच्छा है, फिर और काम मिलता है, एक दिन पैसा मिलेगा. That faith you can develop, but first handle rejection. If you can't handle rejection, then you have not done anything only.
Yeah.
Then you're just pretending. Then you अपने घर के पैसों पे जी रहा है. But when you will get out and people will say no ना, तो बहुत मजा आता है. फिर वो असली टेस्ट हो जाता है कि पैशन के साथ मेरा कमिटमेंट कितना है, कि ये सिर्फ सूडो है.
Right. Makes sense.
So these 2 skills for me are best.
Yeah.
But the third most important skill is you got to learn to sell. Sell. Whatever it is you're doing. That's the difference between the Americans and anyone else. They can sell. एक पत्थर 300 साल पुराना दिखा के उस पे पूरा म्यूजियम खड़ा करेंगे and you will go and pay $10 to see one stone. But that's the way they do it. And you have to learn that. Because if you don't make a fuss about what you do, then why should your customer make a fuss about what you do? Initially you will service his need. He's come to you because he needs something. But if you haven't made a fuss about it, why it's so special and why I am the only guy who can do it, then वो क्यों आएगा यार तुम्हारे पास?
First believe करना पड़ेगा.
Believe and बनाओ. ऐसा बनाओ ताकि दुनिया आके अरे यार हमको खरीदना है ये चीज. मेरे को पता भी ना मेरे को चाहिए iPhone. Who actually needs an iPhone? Nobody. You can manage with a cheap Android. You can.
Yeah.
But why are you spending 1.5 lakhs? Because they have made such a fuss about it that you feel damn, I need that.
दिमाग में perception बना दिया.
Perception कैसे बना? वो Inception खेलता है. But can you go that far ahead where you're actually playing Inception on your customer's mind to believe that what you're selling is that good in value? Then is your digital presence that? And then do you walk the talk? So all the circles will complete. So by the time you're 30, 35, you'll realize, यार, I don't have to pretend anymore. मैंने पढ़ाई भी कर लिया है, मैंने 10 साल काम भी कर लिया है. Now I have reached that point where, okay, enough work is coming to me, but I'll do it at. Then the almanac of Naval Ravikant will play out, I have the money. Now I'll charge only इतने पैसों में करूँगा. नहीं तो ठीक है, उसको नहीं करना है.
Right.
But this circle takes 5-10 years to play out. Some people do it faster.
Okay.
But there's no race according to me, as long as you get there. You have to get there. You know?
So it's just idle time, like it's like
No, you keep trying.
Okay.
You keep trying. You don't waste time.
Mm-hmm.
You keep getting better at your 4 identities, Meanwhile.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
The 4 identity you
see,
need to just
Today you have a degree. I told you again, you don't have
pedigree.
Today any dog might come here and say, मैं बहुत friendly dog हूँ, मैं नहीं काटता हूँ, मैं कुछ नहीं करता हूँ. And you might once or twice pat him. But every time he comes, you are a little scared. Because you are not sure, ना वो रास्ते पे घूमने वाला dog है. But मेरा golden retriever आएगा ना यहाँ, और वो ऐसा tail हिलाएगा, तो पहले ही अपने गोदी में लेके बैठेगा. Because you know that's a golden retriever. That's pedigree for you.
That's like पहचान है.
पहचान है.
Okay.
अभी लोग स्टैनफोर्ड हार्वर्ड क्यों जाते हैं?
पहचान है.
लोग बोल अरे वो स्टैनफोर्ड है यार, उसको वो तो 1 करोड़ का बनता ही है साल का. उसका खुद का तुम 2 मिनट ये देखोगे इंस्टाग्राम, यू विल सी हिज लिंक्डइन प्रोफाइल, यू विल सी इंस्टाग्राम, यू विल सी लाइक हाँ ठीक है बंदा ठीक लगता है. बट व्हाट आर यू बाइंग? यू आर बाइंग द पेडिग्री. सेम विद द गोल्डन रिट्रीवर. यू पे $50,000 फॉर अ गोल्डन रिट्रीवर. व्हाट डू यू पे फॉर अ mongrel? Nothing. You again assuming you don't. If you're a dog lover, it's all the same. I'm saying to an outside perception.
Yeah. So yeah, as we are talking about the success and being a very like position ourselves in a right manner to get our pedigree.
Yeah.
So how do you think like you achieved that much? What I believe that you achieved that much pedigree. So how do you define your success? Like how do you build it, or like can you explain that?
I think success for me is having sufficient saturation of brain power. Like at that decade of my life, if I'm using all my brain power to solve some puzzle and I have to upgrade my skills, then I'm in a good space. If I feel underutilized, कि यार क्या है 2 घंटे का ही काम है, then I start getting restless. So for me, success is having sufficiently a big enough puzzle to solve that my creative, my education, all my powers are being used, and I'm still unable to solve it.
Okay.
Because that keeps me laser focused. कि यार ये solve तो करना है, but we have to go and find people smarter than us to solve that puzzle.
Right.
So to me, that is a very great space to be in, and that's a luxury. Then the money becomes secondary.
Right.
Because you are so obsessed with that thing. So that is one. कि कुछ भी करके ये solve करना है.
Do you think you are doing right now?
I have been doing it for last 10 years. Because I realized that is what I like. That more than the ownership and all these big words, complete utilization of capacity. That is what I like. Now, even now, I also do a lot of writing now. So when I write for people, I don't take on too much because then I know that I'll get stretched. So I like to do only that. But in that domain as a writer, I should be sufficiently utilized. All my skills, I have to go and read more. How do I do this? तो फिर वो मजा आता है. Like थोड़ा stretch.
पूरी शिद्दत से करो.
थोड़ा stretch होना चाहिए.
Okay.
यार I should feel stretched. वो I always have more work than I need. Whether you're getting paid more than you think you deserve, I don't know. Because I haven't priced it. But I told you, at this phase in my life, if I'm getting an X amount of money which is more than my needs, then in a way,
it's good.
It's good enough. And again, if it's destined to be more money, will keep coming. But then after a point, that more money becomes of no use. It's not going to increase my creativity.
Yeah.
And I'm saying no to work.
Yeah, right now you are at the position.
Yeah. So if I keep saying yes to work, then at a point, then
the quality will decrease.
Exactly. So you're getting the point. So why you all in all, that for me, that is success right now.
Okay. So
if the way I'm visualizing myself, I am able to find sufficient stimulation, saturation, and financial success, then I think stability wise, I think that's enough success. But then if I start comparing to others, or as to unicorn banana hai, then these are industry driven benchmarks which can create a lot of desperation, or it will create mistakes.
Yeah.
Again, don't confuse it for lack of ambition. I can say I want to treat every person on this planet. These are foolish.
That's just a very ambitious thought, but it's very not practically possible.
Yeah. Practical. That to me, that's success. I mean, just being sufficiently busy. And second part of that is I don't have to be inauthentic. कि मेरा जो बेसिक एक मोरालिटी है, अनफॉर्चुनेटली वो एक चीज है, मैं हमेशा बोलता हूँ, गलती से इनहेरिट कर लिया कॉन्शियंस, गलती से. बिकॉज वेन यू हैव अ कॉन्शियंस इट स्टॉप्स यू फ्रॉम डूइंग अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स व्हिच अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल आर एबल टू एफर्टलेसली डू. लाइक देयर आर पीपल हु कैन बोरो मनी एंड नॉट रिटर्न इट. देयर आर पीपल. Unfortunately, we just can't do that. Which is not, again, it's not, I'm not saying it's moral hierarchy, I'm not smarter than anyone. I would love to be able to do things which are, let's say, a little around the corners. But nahi hota. And that stunts your growth sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you have to stay on the road only. Thoda idhar nahi ja sakte. But
the ethics.
Unfortunately, ethics sometimes become a binder. You know, you're not willing to take that little bit of risk. But it is what it is. See, again, I know that if I take the risk, मुझे नींद नहीं आएगी. ये बात गोल की थी ही नहीं. बात की हो जाती है. So if I don't have to question my ethics all the time, I am successful. Okay. If I have to start questioning my ethics, in my case, that becomes a problem. Again, I'm not saying that questioning ethics is universal truth. There are people who are comfortably able to bend the law slightly and yet produce phenomenal results. And hats off. You know, but unfortunately, मेरा upbringing is not allowing me to do that, which is becomes sometimes a barrier. But it is what it is. So you move.
You just accept it. Got it. So, like as you mentioned, like the success, the sufficient work you need, like not only task based or strategic, it's a like combination of all.
Of everything.
Yeah. So like there are so many, students, or maybe I am also like sometimes like what I am doing, I am not paid enough, or I like so many college students are like running behind money, like I want to make millions, I want to make billions because of this social media era. So what do you think, like how much money is enough money?
I think money is very relative. It's very relative. Okay, 2 BHK छोटा पड़ता है और अगर बड़ा लग जाता है कोई लोगों को, और कोई लोगों को 5 BHK छोटा लगता है. So it's very relative. I would not generalize anything when it comes to money. So I also have a German car. I also use iPhones. I mean, end of the day, I like what money can buy. So मेरी वो नादानी निकल गई है. In a way, I have outgrown my upbringing.
Okay.
That upbringing was very middle class values. Upper middle class incomes, but middle class values. Our educations are very up. We are at top of the pyramid in the world. But when it comes to money, we'll underutilize that financial brain.
Right.
And again, वो एक middle class thinking क्या होता है कि मेरा profession में से ही मैं पैसा कमा सकता हूँ. That's a very middle class thing. Okay. You have to outgrow that. An upper middle class person or a wealthy person will use any instrument available to make money out of money. Okay. But the middle class will keep flexing his degrees. He'll keep flexing himself. Stretch himself all over the place, work from 11 to 11, 9 to 11. That is, you have to outgrow that. You have to let money grow on its own. Go buy land, go buy whatever, shops, whatever. That will grow on its own, property, mutual fund, share. But you have to learn all that.
Right.
प्रॉब्लम यहाँ पे है, वो सब सीखने जाओगे तो लोग बोलेंगे मनी माइंडेड, एंड क्रिएटिव आदमी के साथ मनी माइंडेड नहीं होता है साथ में. ये सब पागलपंती है.
You just like I heard a lot of things like for what you are saying, it's very relatable for me. Like if you take it as this, like for example, we are into family, like our family business. So if you sit at Galla, right, you have to till you're 60 or 50, you have to sit there only. That's what you have to do. So I feel that shouldn't be.
I like what Ravikant said in that book. He said that can you have somebody do what you are going to be doing there? Meanwhile, you do something what you want to do.
Right.
But the business continues, and you do what you can delegate, you delegate.
Right.
So again, the problem with being who we are at the top of the pyramid is we tend to have very high level decisions which get over in half an hour.
Right.
So like I told you now, what somebody will take the whole day to do, you will do in half an hour. Now what are you going to do for 23 and a half hours? And your decisions influence 10,000 people. Right. But you have taken that decision in 1 or 2 hours of deliberation. तो पूरा दिन करोगे क्या? So filling up your days with value is difficult the higher up the chain you get, because your opinion becomes more and more valuable. But your time gets more and more less utilized. See, this is the problem with becoming successful.
Yeah.
That's why people prefer sticking to sitting at a shop, because it gives them a perception कि I am working. I'm working.
I'm working.
It's fine. That's what they've chosen that part in the value chain. Whereas somebody might say, I will open 100 outlets, but he will not open the 100 outlets. He will hire somebody to open it.
Right.
He is sitting in one ivory tower ka office and seeing reels. Nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong, yeah.
But that ability to take the risk कि 100 करोड़ उठाओ मार्केट में से और खोरो 100 आउटलेट, वो उसका है ना. बट असली काम वो नहीं कर रहा है. Again, it's who you want to be.
Right.
Everybody thinks they want to be that guy sitting in an ivory tower swiping, but that was not Rakesh Jhunjhunwala. The guy was burning the midnight oil reading balance sheets. वो किसी को दिखता नहीं. Warren Buffett works his backside off. He doesn't make strategic decisions just like that.
Yeah.
They are very hard worker. They are workers. वो work ant बोलते हैं ना. They are the worker guys. वो queen भी बाद में है, but they are also they have a work ethic.
Yeah.
That nobody sees. I'm just saying family businesses can be put into automation mode. At least those parts of the job where your daily presence is not required. But the bigger, more important question is, what are you going to do with your time?
Yeah.
If you're going to be a digital content creator, it takes about 15 minutes to write a post. It
Right.
takes about 45 minutes to edit it.
Right.
What are you going to do for the next 23 hours? Keep finding more posts to write? Because there's no end to it. Or you can write one post for 1 lakh.
Yeah.
But are you that guy who people will pay 1 lakh?
Pedigree.
Is it necessary again? Or are you happy writing 25 posts? It all depends. और नसीब थोड़ा रहता है ना.
Yeah.
It's not that the 1 lakh guy is the luckiest guy. He spends 23 hours editing one post and 1 hour writing it. पर वो उसका he wants to do that till it's not perfect. उसको नींद नहीं आता है.
Right. So it's just
It's all about what you
want to
settle down. See again, where you settle down, नसीब रहता है. No matter how much you believe you want to be that guy, it may not happen for you.
Yeah.
So you have to stop trying to be somebody else after some time. Like you just settle down with being, okay, fine, this is good enough for me. And like I work with some people who are 3 times better than me in all the things that I want to do in my life. And it's a luxury to be in that space.
Okay.
Because I don't aspire to be them. I just utilize that brilliance that they have to make myself 1 or 2% better.
Right.
Because Tendulkar ही रहने वाला है. तो
You can't
कितना भी हाथ पैर मार ले तो टेंडुलकर नहीं बनने वाला.
Just yeah.
But you be happy being VVS Lakshman and Sehwag and you have a personality of your own, no? उनके भी फैन क्लब्स है यार. उन्होंने भी बड़े बड़े पैसे कमाए. They are also leading highly successful sorted lives. Takes 11 people to run a team. But एक ही टेंडुलकर बन रहा है ना पूरे जनरेशन में.
Yeah.
Just stop trying to be him.
Just be yourself.
Every field has a Tendulkar, whether it's digital writing or whatever. There are guys you see on the online platform, they're gifted talent. And they write amazing stuff which relates to millions of people.
Yeah.
And you feel I can do that. अरे पर उसके जैसा जो risk वो लेता है ना, when he puts the camera on, can you take that much risk? Can you be that free spirited? May not be.
Yeah.
So then there's a blocker for you. कितने दिन वही करोगे? नहीं, I want to be that guy. I want to be that guy. अरे पर नसीब में नहीं है.
Right.
Can you settle down in one orbit lower? He can reach out to 1 crore people every day. Can you handle your 1 lakh elegantly? Or you have to just waste your time with that 1 lakh till you reach 1 crore? नहीं हो रहा है. 1 crore में भी नहीं होगा. पर अभी 1 लाख है ना, उसका करो ना कुछ अच्छा.
Right.
तो जो काम है उसको
उसको
करने के
अच्छे से
अलावा
करो.
you keep aiming for
The more.
"Hey, when I have that I'll be sorted."
Yeah.
अरे यार, it may never come. You know?
So true, so true. Since we are discussing about startups and the pedigree and all the stuff, so what do you think in the next 5 years, like is there any particular industry you think it will be blowing up? It's like it will just blown up in next 5 years.
I'm going to say from my perspective,
Yeah.
because as a health professional, I will see from the health perspective. I don't know anything about IT, tech, digital. To me, I feel psychology is going to go off the roof. Because I think the more disconnected we get, everywhere is only थोड़ा digital ज़्यादा बढ़ गया है.
Right.
And while we are more connected, we are also more disconnected.
Right.
So we are becoming a little more selfish. We are always trying to solve our own puzzle all the time. So every day you get up, मुझे ये करना है, मुझे my task, my page, my. So there's a lot of my. But
My.
unfortunately, your entire relevance comes from reaching out to somebody else. Now if you're going to have this sterile reaching out कि email भेजा email आया, उसमें कोई हंसता नहीं है. So the basic what gives you joy will not come from this digital engagement. So I think the business of joy, one is basically these like stand-up comedy type things. Those are going to grow where entertainment will grow online. But to me, psychology, which is basic positivity, those shops have always been there.
Yeah.
But that time they were under the ages of selling God and moksha and those things. The digital version of that will be a lot more, keeping just sanity.
Right.
Because when you get rejection online, I don't think there's any science to deal with that. It's easy to offline rejection mein a person seeks offline solace. Today a girl rejected you or something happened, you will go back to your family, you'll go back to your friends, you'll recover.
Right.
But when I reject you online, which is your content is just not making it, which means thousands of people are rejecting you at one time. Then where do you hide? Because your failure is very public.
Yeah.
And you feel I don't have a second chance because those same 1,000 people only I'm going to go back to.
Right.
So this is a very public fail. Now how to deal with this? I don't know.
Okay.
I feel there's going to be a huge need for handling psychology which is changing. I won't say damaging because this is an evolution. We are going online. It is inevitable.
It caused by online thing.
Not caused.
Okay.
It is a part of, it's a side effect of that online revolution.
Okay.
We are becoming more solopreneurs. I told you, me, my laptop, my coffee, it's all my. But बेच रहे हो तो 1000 लोगों को ना, जब वो नहीं लेते हैं और तुमको पैसा नहीं मिलता है, फिर क्या करोगे? Then the offline rejection will come because you're not even an online success. Offline, you're not a success at all. Online, you're not a success. Now what?
Now what?
So what's plan C now?
Yeah.
And nobody wants to live with plan C. Not only do you not want to live with your own plan C, but does nobody wants to live with you with your plan C because you're not a happy person anyway.
Right.
तो ये जो एक degradation or flow chart होने वाला है ना, I find it around me very dicey. I'm worried. What's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
Then
it's just, that's my field. I feel psychology is going to be the future, especially digital delivery of empathy. And all these things. I don't know how we're going to do it, but that's the puzzle we are all going to solve. I think then the next field is going to be addictions. So I see a lot of addiction. People will cope. They don't know how to cope with this isolation. So alcohol and all those things come into play after some time. When you have your own money, you start doing this. And then de-addicting from that is another industry, which is going to go very big in the next 10 years. So already for us, obesity has become 1 in every 2 in every house. Diabetes is 1 in every generation. Soon we are going to see addiction in every generation because there's lack of happiness, lack of stimulation, lack of joy, lack of connection. All the traditional ways in which a human being could get happy is going to go. You have to watch a reel. You have to watch a comedy reel at that to get that happiness.
Yeah.
अभी एक बार वो एक
ट्रिगर
भी नहीं मिला, एक बार वो सब देख लिया. अभी क्या है, either you're a content creator or a consumer, but if you're neither, then you're just getting depressed. तो वो I'm just saying that these are all things which I'm not saying I can see, but I'm already sensing, and then I think the solutions have not come yet. I feel that's all the future. Addiction, then basically psychological impact of digital.
Yeah.
It's
the industry what you're talking about. It's like अभी 10 साल उन्होंने अभी बहुत काम कर लिया. It's just time to present like in front of people. Is that something or not?
I don't know how. I don't know whether people are working on it also. I think we will last minute come there after the horse has already gone. Then we'll bolt the one. कि वो already हो गया है. 50% लोगों का addiction हो गया है. It's, I don't know, like देखते हैं क्या. I think see, knowing human race, we'll find something. Maybe when you wear those glasses and get into into Mark Zuckerberg's world, which is the other world. maybe वहाँ पे पता चलेगा.
Metaverse.
Meta में कुछ solutions आएगा. I don't know. So it's interesting. Connection and purpose. Those two are not replaceable. You need a purpose to get out of bed, and you need to connect to people. And that purpose also needs to connect to people.
Yeah.
If you don't have these two dots connected, you're basically a useless individual. You're of no use.
If both is not connected.
Yeah. Otherwise, even if you're a trader, You are buying something, you're providing a service, it gives you a purpose and it's useful to people. That completes the circuit and it makes you money and whatever, then you use that money and it goes on and on and on. But at least you as an individual have some purpose. If you don't have a purpose and what you do has no use, it indirectly makes you useless.
Right.
And that judgment is very heavy to bear. So वो फिर वो then वो इसमें चला जाता है.
Depression and
थोड़ा tricky है. Which is why I told you that you just got to stop aiming for something. You can just be where you are with the group that you're influencing, even if it's 1,000 people. Do the best you can do now, and as you do better, that circle of influence will increase.
It will increase.
The next 5,000 will come in there because people are looking for islands of people who are
my
motivated.
kind of people.
They want motivation, and it's 7 billion log hai. You can't find 1 lakh people who want to, your brand of happiness, your brand of opinions, your brand. You can't find 1 lakh people. And with these platforms, it's effortless.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, can you handle rejection? Can you control ambition?
Yeah. That's very important.
Control it.
Control
it's
it.
good to have. I want to be Elon Musk. Really? Is it going to happen? I don't know. If you should, but you read, like I said, just read, man. Read Phil Knight, the Shoe Dog. Book hai.
Which book?
Phil Knight, the Shoe Dog, the founder of Nike.
Founder of Nike.
The entire book is a bunch of coincidences. From how he started getting into shoes, to how he bought his first shoe, to how he went to Japan, to how he brought it back, to how he happened to sell a shoe. He had a friend who was doing accounts. He's a BCom. Okay. From where to where, he even today when he stands, he said, when I stand at this Nike's office, I can't believe I am standing here. The whole book is written like a bunch of coincidences. Okay. He never planned anything. But that is the secret of it.
Okay.
He just kept doing the next thing on the list. चलो अभी 2 जूते बिक रहे हैं, अभी 4 जूते बेचते हैं. चलो कोई आके मांग रहा है 5वां जूता, मेरे पास नहीं है, I'll go back there, I'll come back and sell it. Like something that changed my life, a very powerful story, was the founder of Ruby Hall, Dr. Grant. Amazing story. I met him at Pune Club once and I asked him, sir, I don't know what I want to do with my life only. I'm 25, I'm running rounds around this ground every day. I don't know what I want to do. So he said, can you just start doing something? I said, okay, I'll start doing something. I started doing a few things. He said, in a few days, you'll know whether you like it or not. So I started doing share market. So in about a year's time, I realized, I am not that guy. So I let it go. Then one day I asked him, how did you figure out, how did such a big hospital happen? So he said, it's very simple. When he came back from England with his degree, he started in a 1-bedroom flat. He was staying in one room, and in one flat, one patient came with chest pain. He himself got up, started the IV, treated the patient, and the patient went home. One day, 2 patients came at a time. He didn't have place.
Okay.
So he put 1 bed here and he put 1 bed up. Then he treated both. One day, 2 patients were there, 1 more patient came. He didn't have place. So he rented 1 more flat and 3rd bed. He said, like this, in about 20 years, I have 350 beds. And there are some days where I still need 1 more bed. Does it need to be more complicated than that? And I was looking at him, I said, बात तो 1 बेड में करना क्या है वो पता नहीं, आप तो 300 बेड पे पहुंच गए. He said, शुरू तो करो 1 बेड से. अगर 1 साल के बाद भी 1 पेशेंट भी नहीं आया, it means the universe is sending you a message कि this is not your thing.
Yeah.
Then start doing something else, no?
Yeah. It's just you need to explore and just decide what you are
like. तुम बैठे रहोगे कि नहीं मैं 300 बेड पहले खड़ा करूंगा फिर ही मैं बिजनेस करूंगा. ठीक है भाई, फिर बेटर है. So the point was start, no? Just start doing something. But like this, there are many stories I can tell you which luckily I kept asking. I kept hanging around people who were so-called successful. But for me, the word was not success. They were saturated. उनको काम था, जबरदस्त काम था, और वो 70-80 साल तक काम था.
इसके लिए कुछ बन गया.
That is majestic. हाँ, वो बन गया, वो साइड इफेक्ट था. पर दे लगे रहा इकिगाई जो रहता है ना, they just kept doing it. How they kept doing it is majestic. Like there's one Dr. Roy Taylor, who's the father of diabetes reversal, where he's 80. And we had an online Zoom call and I just asked him, sir, वो diabetes सब बाद में हम टेक्स्ट बुक पढ़ लेंगे, मुझे एक समझा दो, 50 साल एक आदमी सुबह उठ के एक ही सवाल को लेके कैसे बैठ सकता है? How to reverse, how to, diabetes. How can a person get up every day and ask one question and keep searching the same answer? Okay. And he answered a simple thing. He said, son, after some time, work has to become like a hobby. It's a hobby. I don't need the money so much anymore. My needs are met, children are grown up, house is done. So I don't really have big ambition. I'm just solving that puzzle. So I get up every day for 2-3 hours, I go, I search, I just think about that problem. It's a hobby. I'm obsessed with the problem that I'm solving. I'm not obsessed with what all I can buy once I solve the problem. That shift occurred somewhere in his 40s and 50s. And he said after that it has just been fun. And that's how you stay committed.
It's very cool.
Brilliant. Like I found that so awesome.
Brilliant.
So I also realized that if I can take money out of the equation early enough, then I can keep doing it passionately or rather dispassionately. I'm not obsessed with what it can bring me. I can keep asking what I can do for it, not what it can do for me.
Right.
That shift is very critical. Like Roger Federer, he's not playing tennis all day because वो 1 million का check मिलने वाला है.
Right.
He's playing because it puts him in that zone. Whether he wins and when he loses, he loves that. He says, I love this game so much because it keeps me humble. वो जो एक amazing, you see the greats ना, they don't have a vested interest in their passion. Vested interest ही नहीं है. It's very pure, like clean. They just show up. And they have faith that that field will take them where they want to go.
Yeah.
And they just keep getting better at controlling their emotions. That is the hard part. Emotion. वो emotion इधर को लोग चाबी मारते रहते हैं ना, trigger. यार ये ऐसा थोड़ी रहता है, ऐसा थोड़ी. ये कर और बढ़ेगा. Hard part.
थैंक यू सो मच फॉर वॉचिंग दिस पॉडकास्ट टिल दी एंड. अगर आपको ये पॉडकास्ट से कुछ भी सीखने को मिला देन लेट अस नो इन द कमेंट सेक्शन कि आपको वो कौन सी एक चीज आपको इंटरेस्टिंग लगी. एंड अगर कुछ आपको ऑफ लगा फील फ्री टू गिव अस अ फीडबैक सो वी कैन इम्प्रूव इट एंड सर्व यू अ वैल्यूएबल कंटेंट. सी यू इन द नेक्स्ट एपिसोड.